field makes their way through turns 11, now through turn 12. The kickoff to the 2016 the Pro Mazda presented by Cooper Tires Championship is about to get underway.
They will line them up. All yellow, black and white. Team Pelfrey on the front row. Pato Award on the inside. Aaron Tielitz on the outside. Side by side. Onto the straightaway. Everyone in position. And we have our green flag coming from our guest up top. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Robert Kusaba, our guest from Allied Building Products, getting a chance to throw the green flag from one of the best places to watch this race. They'll work their way down into turn number 1. Can they get through cleanly? 3 wide coming out of turn number 1 over to turn 2. They got to play cleanly through 2 because it narrows up for 3. Ooh, that is tough running through there, Michael. 2 by 2 coming through turn 2 and over to 3.
It looked like Nico Jamin had a rough start. I don't know if he ended up filing back in at 4th or 5th. We'll see as they roll through. Indeed, he finished 4th. So a nice start. The drivers worked their way single file through the slowest portion of the course. They worked their way now through turn number 8. That sweeper through turn 9. An important turn. Once you get through there, carrying that speed down Bayshore, we'll see him again in turn number 10.
Good start as well for Jorge Savalos in the number 21. I want to say he got at least one position there. The JDC Motorsports car able to jump up, and again, this is what we wanted to see in USF 2000, but thankfully Pro Mazda delivered it to us. A nice clean start, and they were 2 wide all the way through over to turn number 3. That's the way to get the job done here, when you can run cleanly like that, and now we get to go racing. It's Award out front, Tielitz 2nd, Edson 3rd, Jamin 4th, and Wei-Ron Tan ends up in the 5th spot. So essentially the way they qualified is the way they run the first lap.
But you want to comment on a driver on a pole who's done a great start. Pato Award has about a 10 car length advantage over teammate Aaron Tielitz. That's the kind of start you want. Not that he's going to put it in cruise control yet, but he's got that rhythm down and he's got plenty of breathing room.
You know what, we saw this kid get better and better throughout the year last year. I think that when we went to the streets of Toronto, he kind of turned a corner, was able to get 2 podium finishes, and that filled the kid with just a bunch of confidence. And coming into this year, again, like we said, he's just a new young man, brimmed with more confidence, more maturity, more patience. And we talk about how important it is to be good on cold tires. What can you do when the grip level is not optimal? If you're able to pull away, maintain that car, because, you know, an engineer will tell you the car's going to be crappy for the first 5 laps. But once we get past that 5 laps, it's going to start to come into a setup window. You know, you hold on to it at that point for the first 5, and he is just rocking right now. 1.4 seconds the gap last time by the stripe.
I paid attention as they were coming off pit lane. We saw Award and Tielitz with those sticker Cooper tires. Edson and Jamin both had scuffed Coopers. Not sure how many laps they had on them, but Wei-Ron Tan also on stickers. So all the Pelfrey cars with sticker Cooper tires and the Cape Motorsports with scuffs. Not that that will make a big difference, but for a jump like this, certainly you would think those sticker Cooper tires has helped Team Pelfrey at the start.
Yeah, well, I think definitely. Now, again, we'll see what happens in terms of what they have for the next race. They may not have sticker tires for the next race, depending on how they ration them through the qualifying and practice sessions. Further back in the pack, we talked about Savalos getting one of the Juncos cars. Jorge Savalos in the white and blue JDC number 21, able to get by Will Owen in the number 23. And actually a pretty good start for Garrett Grist as well. He goes to 6th from 8th, so he took advantage and is able to jump up into the 6th position. Garrett, of course, never really has had a lot of luck here at St. Petersburg. It has not been a track that kind of fits into his wheelhouse, and I think if he's able to get out of here with a top 6 finish, I don't think he's going to think that's the worst thing in the world, because he gets to the meat of the order. Some of the tracks that he's so good at, Lucas Oil Raceway, Iowa, Mid-Ohio, Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. He just wants to make sure he doesn't lose any ground here early on, because Juncos doesn't seem to have everything they need here right now.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but for Garrett Grist, it's always been his type of season. Starts off a little slow and then gains momentum as the season progresses. And for him to be able to get in the top 5, if he can get around Wei-Ron Tan, again, as you said, a good start. And obviously we have another race coming up again tomorrow. So a good outing here in the streets of St. Petersburg, helping for the championship efforts of Garrett Grist.
We'll have a look at the lap times as they come across here. Award, Tielitz, Edson, Jamin, and Tan, your top 5. Grist, Parsons, Savalos, Owen, and DePero cap the top 10. Bobby Eberle with about a 7/10 of a second lead over Jay Horak, leading that national class. Looking at lap times, Grist a 1:13.8, Tan a 1:13.4. So Grist not having the pace he needs to close up that gap. 1.1 seconds now between the 5th and 6th place drivers. So again, everybody kind of settling in now. Tielitz actually about a 10th quicker last time by, but it's 1.6 seconds now the advantage for Pato Award.
Settling in now, third lap complete, working lap number 4. And this is when the drivers start to find their rhythm. They'll start testing each other, breaking down into turn number 10, seeing if there is any opportunity to pass. There you see Wei Rontan starting to size up Nico Jamin, seeing in turn 10 if he's got an opportunity to outbrake him. Not that he'll be doing it in the next couple of laps, but you see the gamesmanship starting to be played right now. And Wei Rontan right there on the rear wing of Nico Jamin, and also Jamin working on Edson. So Jamin got a lot going on. He's got to work on Edson and his teammate, and then right behind him he's got Wei Rontan starting to work his way around. So Nico Jamin with his hands full, but a good start for that young Frenchman.
We really have to mention that this is really the first time for these guys to actually go wheel to wheel. Never, Wei Rontan has not had a chance to really run side by side with Nico Jamin. Nico was in the USF 2000 program last year. Wei Ron, of course, was one of the front runners here in Pro Mazda. So they're kind of feeling each other out now. Wei Ron's going to try to figure out what kind of line he's taking, where he may be a little bit quicker, because if Wei Ron feels he's got a better race car, he just needs to set him up. He needs to make sure that if there's an opportunity somewhere, he'll be able to take it by kind of laying back if he has to get a run. And
you always need to remind folks in these ladder series, this is the second run of the Mazda Road to Indy ladder. When drivers compete with other drivers week in, week out, they know their habits, they know where their weaknesses potentially are, because they compete with them all the time. You talk about Tan, you talk about Jamin, they've never competed together. So for Tan, this is a learning experience. How does this driver drive? What's his line going through a corner? How late does he brake? How early does he brake? And as he learns these things throughout the race, throughout the season, he will develop a relationship with Nico Jamin and say, oh, I know what kind of drivers, and I know the opportunities I need to take when I see them.
Oh, very true. They all go to work. The top drivers have notebooks on everybody that they're racing against. They know how they can get in their head. They know what tracks they're strong at. They know what particular corners they're maybe better at. If it's a high speed, if it's slow technical stuff. You have to know your competition if you want to be able to outrun them. And right now we're watching these fast times fall. And again, another quick time for Aaron Telitz, 112.4 to a 112.5 for O'War. He's just chipping away, but 1.6 seconds still the gap between first and second. Long way to go in this race, folks, here, as we still have a lot of time left. These drivers just kind of settling in here now for this battle. We look forward to this one here. It is a 40-minute race. Still 33 minutes to go. Award out front in that number 80 and Telitz in the 82 in P2. They got to be pretty pleased here right now with the two Team Pelfrey cars running first and second. They got to be excited with the way things are right now.
Yeah, for Jake Edson starting to break away a little bit as we see Nico Jamin have his hands full. So did for whatever reason, Wei Rontan swung wide. Don't know if he was kind of following Nico Jamin and just broke differently. It was an odd set of circumstance right there as Nico Jamin through turn 13 looked like the back end wanted to step. He swung wide, and then Tan swung even wider at the exit of turn 13.
I want to think that maybe Tan figured that Jamin was going around. He wanted to maybe be able to give himself a wide berth just in case, because as you said, Nico Jamin got into 13. That's that final corner where you're trying to roll the speed back onto the straightaway. We see a lot of drivers see their rear end starting to break loose there, and I'll tell you, Nico missed the turn-in point and had to really crank it around, and the car almost came around on him. And I think Wei Ron maybe just taking evasive maneuvers to make sure he wasn't going to get collected in that. But what that's done is given a nice little advantage by over a half a second for Jake Edson now in the third spot.
Jake Edson looking rather smooth as he makes his way down Bayshore now into turn number 10. And for whatever reason, it looks like Wei Rontan really fell off. So whatever correction he made when Nico Jamin made his off little jump there in turn number 13, it's really cost Wei Rontan. But for Pato O'Ward, a 1.78 second lead over his teammate Aaron Telitz. And then Jake Edson not even in touch with the Telitz car right now. Jamin and Tan, that's really the battle there for that third, fourth, and fifth position.
Yeah, I wonder what Garrett Grist thought about that when he saw Wei Ron get a little wide coming through there, because Garrett's not that far back, just about a second and a half back now. 1.6 seconds back, but Tan's still about 0.2 of a second quicker. Grist holding on to that sixth position. He's got his teammate Parsons behind him by about a second. Drivers working their way out of turn number 1, 2, over to 3. Coming through here now.
I will tell you this, I saw Garrett Grist coming out of turn number 1, and he had a whole handful of that car, that machine snapping on the back end, stepping out to the left, and he brought that Uncos Racing machine back in, but Garrett Grist really hustling it through turn number 1 right now, currently running in the 6th position.
We said this year is going to be all about quality over quantity. Only 12 drivers in our Pro Mazda category, but they are some absolutely stellar talents here in this Mazda Road to Indy, drivers we expect to see up into the Indy Lights program in the next couple of years. We have the top 3 drivers from last year's USF 2000 championship. Couldn't ask for anything more than the best we had from USF 2000 coming to Pro Mazda. And then we have 2 drivers who won a ton of races last year in the category remaining for their second year. So it says a lot about the quality of the drivers that we have in the Pro Mazda championship here in 2016. And we say this straight up, this championship is up in the air. And the guy who's leading right now, who's going to try to get the point lead after the first race, doesn't even have a full season locked. He may not even be here for the rest of the year. Pato O'Ward, as we said, great to have him with us, a driver who is listed out of Monterrey, Mexico. Man, he doesn't have a full season yet booked, and he could leave this event here with the point lead if he's able to continue to show the pace he's shown.
Well, if anything's going to bode to be a positive for Pato O'Ward, it's coming away with a victory here, and if he can back that up again tomorrow as he sets sail over teammate Aaron Telitz, the gap now 1.8 seconds, and then back to Jake Edson, another 5.7 seconds. That's the best battle on the circuit right now. Edson, Jamin Tan, and now Garrett Grist starting to join that battle as well as he's slowly closing in on the rear end of Wayron Tan.
Folks, we're pleased to welcome guests from Allied Building Products here this weekend. Obviously, this is the Allied Building Products Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Allied supports the entire Mazda Road to Indy by headlining select USF 2000, Pro Mazda, and Indy Lights race events. Allied Building Products has been entertaining hundreds of employees, customers, and guests over the years, and we are thrilled to have them as part of the Mazda Road to Indy. You know, Michael, one thing I think we need to watch here, keep looking at the lap times of Edson and Jamin. Jamin, of course, had that near miss over in turn 13, but he's been able to chip his way again back up to Edson. They both turned 1:12.8 last time by, but that gap less than 0.6 of a second.
Yes, indeed. It's interesting as we watch this race starting to unfold. O'Ward really has just taken command once he saw the green flag, and Aaron Telitz, he'll gain a 10th, he'll lose a 10th, but gained a couple of tenths there. And if he will get back in this battle, we'll see how it unfolds. Obviously, he's saving those Cooper tires for the later stages of this race. But Aaron Telitz, if you could just keep chipping off a tenth at a time, I'm sure Pato O'Ward's starting to feel a little comfortable where he is. He's not going to push too hard, although he's constantly pushing every race lap. But Jake Edson is starting to dial it back in and getting a little closer to Aaron Telitz. It's going to take a while, 4 seconds, if he plans to get back into contention again. But still, that battle for third or fourth with the Cape car is the best one on the circuit.
Most definitely. Look at they're really trying to figure it out here. I think the track's starting to get a little bit greasy coming through turn number 13.
Yeah.
They're really having to try to get those cars to rotate, and I think if they just over-rotate, that's when they're having a bit of trouble, when they're really trying to get that thing to snap around on them there. And again, that's the whole idea, trying to roll enough speed through that corner to get back on the power and get that thing to come back around and down the straightaway. They're doing the best they can here now, folks, and so many of these drivers, Telitz, Edson, Jamin, Grist, and all came through the USF 2000 championship, and they've been here before. They know this racetrack, and of course, stepping up in weight class, though, you know, they've got 90 more horsepower. You got wider Cooper tires. We got more aero on these cars from USF 2000, just a different beast altogether. But these drivers are shining right now, looking very good. For Pato O'Ward now, 10 laps into the books, a 1.8 second advantage, and he just set another very quick lap of 112.3. He was doing 112.6s there for a while, but he drops the hammer a little more for Pato. Car starting to come to him. Still a long way to go. 26 minutes remaining, and that's the one thing we stress. Can't stress enough. Let me put it that way. These young kids are athletes. This is to be in this car for 40 minutes, total 100% focus, having to just absolutely wheel this thing. You see the cars kind of having to manhandle it through a couple of these corners. They're extreme athletes in my mind. Just amazing what they're able to do at such a young age. And
you see them, you can see actually the cockpit of the car where they're really jerking on that wheel, trying to get as much as they can out of the car. It's interesting that you brought up 13-14, that basically horseshoe at the end of the circuit on the east end. Edson, Jamin, Tan, all three of those drivers took a different line through that final complex, and it basically just comes back on itself down that main straightaway. But Edson was kind of in the middle of the circuit. Jamin kind of cut it close down low, and then Wayron Tan went wide on the outside. It's interesting, the race lines, and as you said, as the heat of the day comes, when they came out of the circuit today, it was probably the coolest it'll be all day. Obviously will be the coolest it'll be all day, with the sun planning to be out all day. We're expecting fantastic weather here in St. Petersburg. But as this circuit starts to get a little greasier and heat up a little more, the way that they attack that final turn, interesting to watch each and every driver as they make their way through.
Yeah, you're correct. Up to 75 degrees now here, and of course, what they're expecting it to get up to maybe around 80, I believe, today. But so much warmer. Again, watching on the screen there is there. You can see them coming through. They're definitely taking a little bit different line, and you can see Jamin really trying to get that car to rotate once he gets to the mid-corner apex. He's starting to lose a gap, I think, here though on Edson. Yeah, it's 1.3 seconds now. Only Award, Telitz, and Edson still able to run down into the 112s. Everyone else slipped above the 113s now as these tires start to wear down a little bit. And now we're going to start watching to see these setups. Who's got a car that is set up to maybe run the tire a little better through to the end? Is there a tire management run here in a 40-minute race for these drivers? This is going to be a long run. They've got 12 laps already in here. Award leading by 2 seconds. You got to give Telitz props. He's pretty much matched the speed of Award. Both drivers in those mid to high 112s now. 112.6 for Award, a 1 minute 12.7 for Aaron Telitz. And again, Telitz in his first year here in Pro Mazda. I don't think we can say enough about this young kid who has done such a fantastic job coming through USF 2000. There's no family money there. This is a kid that does his homework. He works. He was at one point the winner of the Skip Barber Scholarship as well as so many other drivers have been. He was able to get himself into the USF 2000 program. He's been able to bring sponsors around that have supported him and helped him move forward. Teams have rallied around him. They like this young man. He's very similar to a Hinchcliffe and a Newgarden. He's got a lot of charisma, a really likable young guy, and obviously with a ton of talent as well.
We spent some time with these Mazda Road to Indy drivers, and Michael Andretti came in and spoke to the group, and Michael made it a point that you need to be more than just a race car driver now. You need to be your own promoter, your PR person. As you make your way through this Mazda Road to Indy ladder, it is so important to get yourself out in front of people, to represent yourself well, that it's no longer just about putting a right wheel every time you go onto the circuit. You have to be the complete package. Now, a great driver, obviously, you still have to be a great driver, but you need to also complement yourself with the rest of that entire package. PR, promotion, self-awareness. It is one of the most important things in an entirely different time than when Michael came through racing, that completely different.
And people can lament the fact that it's not that same old time when you were a great driver, you're in my car, we're going racing. The truth is, the fact of a modern day race car driver is you have to be the complete guy. You have to be marketing, you have to be talent, you have to be social media savvy. You have to do everything right. That's part of what it is nowadays, and that's the new modern day motorsports. You have to be able to do it all. And
what's amazing about it is you see these young drivers really pushing some of the veteran drivers that you need to come into this new era that you see with whatever form of motorsport you look at, or sports in general, that social media has become such an important aspect in how you handle yourself on social media. Sometimes you can't teach those things, so you have to be conscious of when you hit that send button, you send it out there. You always want to represent yourself in a positive way.
Very, very true. Folks, we're lucky here to be part of this Mazda Road to Indy. These young drivers, we see the Soul Red car flying by there of Nico Jamin. Mazda Road to Indy is the only driver development program of its type in the world, providing a scholarship-funded path from USF 2000, Pro Mazda, and Indy Lights to the Verizon IndyCar Series and the Indianapolis 500. In 2016, this year, over $3.6 million in prizes and awards are on offer. The Mazda Road to Indy is where tomorrow's stars race today. And again, what we talk about, Michael, these guys work their way through the ranks. The Sage Karams, the Gabby Chavez, Tristan Vautier, and of course Spencer Pigot now getting a chance to run in the Verizon IndyCar Series because of what he did last year, winning Indy Lights.
And I think not only advantageous for the drivers, obviously, but for the fans of open wheel racing, to be able to familiarize yourself with these names, to be able to come out here on a race weekend. You made the analogy of minor league baseball and the various levels of minor league baseball. Well, here you're able to go to the track and see every one of those series perform and race right in front of you. Unlike baseball, you have to travel all over to see the various teams. It's all right in front of the race fan in each and every race weekend, and that's what makes this Mazda Road to Indy program not only beneficial for the drivers, but for the fans as well, to be able to see these young stars, to be able to meet them at the autograph sessions, and to say, I remember, I knew these drivers when. It makes it so much more special, I think, each and every time a fan comes out to the racetrack.
I totally agree, and again, we do have autograph sessions throughout the weekend. We'll try to give you a couple of them to go and get a chance to meet these young drivers. Of course, USF 2000 racing again today. They will actually cap off their weekend here today. A double header for those drivers.
Our Pro Mazda drivers will be back tomorrow for an autograph session. We do have The USF 2000 autograph session coming up at noon today. They'll sign from noon to 12:30 in the Fan Village. That's right there between turns 10 and 11, the inside of the track. Obviously, the bay right there, so make sure you stay on the inside.
Stay on the right side.
But a good opportunity. And, 26 drivers. You'll be able to say hello to each and every one of them from 12 to 12:30 today.
And I think it's 11:30 tomorrow as well for Pro Mazda.
Yep.
The drivers who are racing here right now. We'll talk about the fact that their next race will have nothing to do with the conditions like we have right now, because their next race is after IndyCar tomorrow. But before their race tomorrow after IndyCar at 11:30, they'll be there for their autograph session. So you can meet the drivers who got on the podium here today and the rest of the field as well. But again, that's one thing we'll talk about, Michael, is these drivers are out here circulating. They're getting to feel the racetrack. They're getting to feel their race cars, so they're going to be good tomorrow in the same conditions? No. They're going to go on track after the IndyCar race tomorrow afternoon. The track is going to have tons of rubber down on it. The track is going to be greasy. We're going to cross our fingers depending on the weather we're going to have. It could even be a little damp. We'll see. But regardless, it'll be a different situation for these young drivers.
Indeed, we've hit the halfway mark, and Jake Edson, Nico Jamin starting to fall off a little bit, but Aaron Telitz hanging right in there. It's been 1.7 seconds. It's jumped up to 2.1 seconds, now back to 1.9 seconds. The gap between he and teammate Pato O'Ward, who's led this thing from the start of the race, now back to 2 seconds for Aaron Telitz, but still in cruise control, and hopefully he'll be able to save a little something at the end. But the way Pato O'Ward has been driving this race, just masterful, and like I say, cruise control.
Oh, no doubt about it. This kid is just knocking off good lap after good lap. And again, look back at the lap times. The only driver still running in the 112s is Jake Edson. Impressive. Everybody else up into the 113s. Look like we may have a challenge back here for 8th and 9th at one point as well. Will Owen slowly reeling in Jorge Ceballos in the number 21. Let's see if Ceballos is able to hold back the young American driver. But you're right, Pato O'Ward, 2 seconds now the advantage. He's essentially just matching the speed of Telitz's teammate. They got to be pleased right now that they're looking pretty good here. Pato rolling through. There's Telitz, and again, they'll come out. There's the gap between first and second. Big shout out to those of the people watching live here on the RoadToIndy.tv. We're pleased to be able to bring live streaming video of our racing events here this year. Big thanks to the good folks at Road to Indy TV who are doing a fantastic job to just connect with our fans even a little bit closer. If you can't be here at the racetrack with us, you're going to get a chance to see the live coverage. So we want to say hello to everyone listening in around the country and around the world. Rob Howden alongside Michael Young, and of course we had Tony Laporta down on pit lane, the host of the Road to Indy TV programs. Pato O'Ward, Aaron Telitz, boom, flying by you there. They are your leaders, and it's a big gap back with the 2K Motorsports drivers. 7.7 seconds from the leader back to Edson. Almost 6 seconds between that lead duo, 6 seconds rather, back between the lead duo, the 2K Motorsports cars.
You talked about Jake Edson being the only driver at minute 12. I just noticed that time by the Pelfrey guys, O'Ward and Telitz, back in the 112s at a 112.8. So
they're obviously listening to the broadcast.
Clearly they're putting on a show for us today as they make their way down Bayshore and working their way through turn number 10 now. We're working lap number 19, this 40-minute event just past the halfway mark, just about 17 minutes remaining in this first race of the season, this Pro Mazda Championship.
Folks, since 2007, Mazda has provided more than $12 million in driver development scholarships. More than $2 million scholarships is on the line this season in USF 2000, Pro Mazda Indy Lights. The 2015 Indianapolis 500, 23 of 33 starters had raced at least one event in the 3 Mazda Road to Indy categories. Last year's Indy Lights champion Spencer Pigot is making his IndyCar debut this weekend, backed by the Mazda Road to Indy Driver Scholarship. You can look for the Soul Red cars. We see it here, Nico Jamin, in all of our Mazda Road to Indy categories. That Soul Red car indicates a driver who is a Mazda Scholarship winner. Michael, you and I always continue to pick them out, whether it's Dakota Dickerson in USF 2000, Nico Jamin here, of course, in the Pro Mazda category, or Santi Urrutia in the Indy Lights class. You can just see them, what they're able to do, and for them to be able to run that Soul Red color and know that they have the Mazda backing, and to really kind of give them that last little hurrah, the fantastic season the year before to win the championship.
And for the race fans as well, to be able to know when you come up to your grandstand seats, if you're not familiar with the colors of the various teams for this Mazda Road to Indy program, you know who the reigning champion of the ladder before were there, that who currently has moved up from USF 2000 or the Pro Mazda Series Indy Lights. You know who's won that scholarship money, and 9 times out of 10, those are the guys you kind of want to keep your eye on anyhow. It makes it interesting and a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, well, if you were to keep your eye on Spencer Pickett come up to the ranks, you would have been pretty happy. You would you would have started to become a fan early on. Here's a good battle coming through there. We just saw that roll by us on the screen. That's that little three-driver fight just inside the top 10. The blue and white number 21 of Jorge Savalos, the white and green number 23 of Will Owen, and it's that deep blue white number 31 of Nicholas DePero. They are battling it away here right now. Savalos has gone by Parsons. Have we lost Parsons possibly? Or did Savalos actually get by him looking at timing and scoring?
We didn't see any pass on the circuit. We'll keep an eye on the circuit right now to see if we see him roll through.
He may be slowing on the track. I think that's him coming through at the very tail. I'm not sure what happened there to Jake Parsons, but Savalos has now got up into 7th, at least based on our timing and scoring. And that could be an issue with timing and scoring. I think indeed, yeah, that was him right there, because there's DePero coming through. So indeed, Savalos, something happened to Parsons, whether he went off on one of the escape roads that we didn't see, whatever it was. He has fallen back in front of his teammate Owen. So Savalos has now been able to go up into the 7th spot in the JDC Motorsports entry. You know, we give a lot of props to our teams. Of course, JDC Motorsports, John Church is his operation. They have USF 2000 cars. They have Pro Mazda cars they run as well, and IMSA as well. We want to give a shout out to John Church and his whole crew winning this year at the Rolex 24. Their crew won the Prototype Challenge category. It was cool to see JDC Motorsports, one of our, our really close family teams in the Mazda Road Day, to see them find some successes at the Daytona International Speedway.
The Pato Award, the last 3 laps, minute 12.8 each and every time, nearly identical lap times for the leader of each and every lap of this round 1 event here in the Pro Mazda presented by Cooper Tire Championship. Pato Award, 2.34 seconds now over his teammate Aaron Tielitz. And keeping an eye on the Parsons machine as they come around and continue the scoring loop to see what indeed happened with Savalos there getting around and getting to P7. We saw that battle real quick with Garrett Grist. Savalos was about 6 car lengths behind, and then we lost the cutaway, so not sure if Parsons in that shot or not.
I think I saw him right in front of Owens, so he's actually on track still. I don't know what might have happened, but regardless, Savalos does move up in order. But let's go back to you talking about Pato Award. Just watching the lap times, he is just hammering out here right now. That's one of the signs of a true champion, the ability to knock out those good, fast laps and stick with it. Everything he's done here right now is right within that window of a 2 to 3 tenths of a second. A 12.8, a 13 flat, just at a 12.9. He just continues to knock out great laps. 2.5 seconds the advantage. And now we are 13 minutes from the end of this one here. Not a lot of action as the drivers were able to settle into position. But as we said, we were just looking forward to this first race to kind of find out what the pecking order was going to be. We can look at all the practice sessions, all the testing we've done. People can say who's fast, what times are laying down. But when we get to a race and it's official, that's when you finally realize who is in the hunt here right now. And the top drivers here, the top 6 guys, are guys we're going to be able to see battle for a championship, I think, here this year. Award, though, off to a great start. 2.5 seconds the advantage over his teammate Aaron Tielitz.
Well, Jake Parsons under attack now by teammate Will Owen. Just 3/10 of a second separate those two Uncos Racing machines. Not sure where that battle is on the circuit, but that indeed the closest battle we have as we work lap number 23 again. 12 minutes remaining in this round 1 event. And for Pato Award, you're right in that rhythm right now. You hit your apex every time. You know when you're braking. It's just it becomes nearly repetitive and almost as if robotic, because you're there in the groove and you're not missing a lick. And Pato Award having one of the best drives I've seen him have in quite some time.
You know, I wish I could say it's happened to me many times. I've done a lot of car racing, some car racing. It's just that sweet spot you get when you just the rhythm, you're hitting the marks and everything's perfect, and you can feel the car. I can't say that it's happened to me all that often, but when it does, it's magical. But for somebody like Pato Award, who I've watched win races all the way up the karting ranks, he's done so many other smaller junior formula series where he's been able to do something like this. Kid's got a lot of talent, and you're right, that's where he is right now. He's just banging it. Another 112.8. Everything within 2 to 3 tenths of a second. He can't see he's on cruise control because it's not like he's slowed up. He just keeps banging out good lap after good lap here right now. And especially on a street course like this, when you cannot make a mistake. There are times when you do slow up a little bit. Maybe you go down to 90%. That's when you put yourself in trouble. That's when you can make a mistake because you're not in that sweet spot. You take yourself out of a place where you're not going as fast as you need to be. These cars like going fast. They're not fun to drive when you're driving slow. They're heavy, they're hard to drive. But when you're throwing that car around, letting it rotate, that's when the car becomes much easier to drive.
And you always know a driver has had a great race. There's that great battle there with Parsons and Owen. You know you've had a great race when you're unaware the checkered flag's even flowing, that you're that in the zone right now. Coming out of 13 and 14, Owen all over the rear wing of Parsons.
Wow, this could be a battle here. Will Owen, I don't know if Parsons is having some kind of issue with the race car, but Will Owen, as Michael said, parks himself there. Maybe a length and a half coming down the straightaway. We'll get the shot coming down into turn number 1 and see if he's able to make a move. We'll get the exit shot here. Not quite enough, I don't think. Parsons able to hold him off still. We are being told that Award may be closing up on some lap traffic pretty soon. That'll be the battle between Bobby Eberle and Jay Horak. There's Grist rolling through. Savalos, that is 6th and 7th. There's your battle right there. No, Owen still not by. Parsons in 8th, Owen in 9th. Picking up a pretty good battle here right now.
I think once they get through turns 8 and 9, you might see Will Owen take a look to the inside of his teammate Jake Parsons as they make their way down to turn number 10. 10 minutes left in race number 1. That will be the battle, and that'll be a good opportunity. We'll see if he can get around.
You said the key term again, though. We keep saying teammate.
Yeah.
Would you make a move? Yeah. Oh, it's your teammate. I got to think better of it sometimes. And you hate to say that, but you don't want to knot up 2 of your cars so your team ends up working all night long. If it was somebody else, maybe you might pressure a little harder. I think sometimes when it comes to pass the teammate, you want to make sure that the job's done correctly.
You don't want to take a split-second gap that you think you maybe be able to make a move and then throw both of the races away.
Exactly right. So here we come down to turn number 1 once again. Again, no, Will Owen just cannot get close enough. And that's one of the things we talk about with these cars. When you're trying to close up on somebody, especially coming through turn number 13, that kind of sweeping corner, when you get too close in front of somebody, you lose that air off the front of the car. And that front wing, which gives you so much front downforce on the car, front grip on the car, it requires air rolling over top of the wing for that to be able to work. And when you're tucked up behind somebody, you lose that air and the car wants to push out on you. When the car understeers and pushes out, you can't get back on the throttle quite as quickly, and it's hard to make that run down. That's why I think these guys are trying different lines potentially through turn 13 to make sure they could get a good run out without having the air taken off the front wing.
You talk about getting in a rhythm and constantly hitting his marks. Boy, I thought Jake Parsons nearly got into the wall right there as he started to swing that car out wide. But Pato O'Ward last time by had a 13.5, back down to a 12.8. So not sure what had happened, if he just had a little hiccup, but
might have been going by the lap traffic.
And that could have been as well. But indeed, for Pato O'Ward, he's right back on rhythm right now, back to those 12.8 laps.
3.5 seconds the advantage for the Mexican driver Pato O'Ward in the number 80. There's Savalos comfortable, and there's that battle there between Parsons and Owen. Nicholas DePero right back there, just hanging out. Turning pretty good laps. DePero down to a 13.9. DePero actually quicker than both Parsons and Owens right now. 2.6 back. So DePero, the number 31, quicker than both of his teammates there. Savalos cleanly through, and here comes that battle again. And Will Owens starting to get antsy,
yes,
I think, now. He's showing himself to the inside a little bit here and there. He knows he's quicker because he's fallen back at least a half a second from the pace he was turning.
Yeah, indeed. We just saw Telis turn a little slower lap. They're getting around the lap traffic right now. That's indeed what it was. Bobby Eberle and Jay Horak as they work their way through.
So again, working our way into the last 10 minutes. In fact, just 7 minutes remaining here. You see the clock now being shown up on top there. 7 minutes remaining. Should get us probably, what, maybe 5 or 6 laps left in this race here. Pato O'Ward still holding on, drops down to a 13.5. Now, I'd hazard to say I wonder if the tires are starting to go off a little bit here, but you know he's going to come back with a 12.9 next time by. Just cool the tires down a little bit.
Jake Parsons, Will Owen, the only real battle on the circuit right now, but the gaps between all the other competitors big enough now that you use this as a good practice session. You get in the rhythm now, getting yourself prepared. Not that you're settling for what position you're in, but there's such a big gap getting ready for race number 2 tomorrow. Getting your mindset, okay, here's what we need to do. Starting to heat up right now. Where am I good? Where am I bad? Start thinking towards tomorrow's race, the latter stages of this race.
You know, I think we talked about it as well, whether or not, obviously, tomorrow's grid set by either your second fastest lap in qualifying or your fastest lap in the race. I don't think anybody's going to get any close to their second fastest lap. The race time's obviously a lot slower. We talked about at the top of the broadcast how fast they were going to be. The conditions obviously enough to slow these guys down into the mid 112s. And we talked about that. The temperature's up into the mid 75s right now. Nice breeze still flowing here.
Looked like we had one of the cars getting around one of our lapped machines, either a Horak or Eberly, coming down the front straightaway. Pato Award up to 3.4 seconds now, a 13.0 second lap. Thielett's back in the minute 12 zone, a minute 12.8, but Pato Award, it's going to take a heck of an effort. It's 7 minutes, 6 minutes remaining now in this race for Aaron Thielett to even get within distance of seeing the rear wing of his teammate.
Well, that's now Jake Edson. He's worked his way around Jay Horak.
Yeah.
Now Edson's got to get around Bobby Eberly now, but he's got lots of room. I think he's pretty much ahead of Jamin by over 3.5 seconds now, as well as the time winding down. This is when the drivers need to stay focused. You know, there's nobody around them right now, but they got to stay focused still. They've been in the car for 35 minutes. It's hot out there, and they're pushing hard. There's a lot of grip in the areas where the car's sliding around. They've been going to work for 35 minutes now. They can't lose their focus. They cannot lose any of their concentration, because one little mistake here, and you're in the wall. You've broken you broke a half shaft. You broke some part of the suspension. Your day's already done. You've got to stay focused here. This is where all their fitness comes into play. It doesn't help in the first 5 minutes. It helps in the last 5 minutes of the race.
You talk about drivers' endurance, the conditioning, the athleticism it takes to drive any type of racing machine. But the heart rate, everything's up. Your senses are so aware, the eyes wide open, that you just get in a different place when these drivers get in the cockpit of these machines and they race. And it's almost after the race is over, you have to take a deep breath and realize you're in a whole different place. The competitive nature of these drivers and the athletic conditions that they have to be in, just the heightened sense of awareness. You're right, you take anything off and you just take a moment's breath and think, I can relax for a second. That's when you make the big mistake. That they're at a whole different level right now until this race is over.
The only place that they can take a time maybe to get the hands off the wheel, but a little bit of a grip is coming down the front straightaway. They may want to. A lot of times they'll have the death grip on the steering wheel. You want to get your hands a little stretched, just kind of relax, reset it, head back down into turn number 1.
Oh, and we'll see that on street circuits with the hands and the blisters forming. That the drivers go through a lot, especially on a street circuit. Just as you said, the death grip getting through, maneuvering this car, it is tough on a body.
Drivers working their way through turn number 1. There's your gap between first and second. Pato Award streaming through. There's Aaron Thielett now. 3 seconds, the gap between first and second. Look at the real estate. We have to go back until we see Jake Edson. We didn't even get a chance to see him. It's over 8 seconds behind Thielett. As Team Pelfrey has got things underway. You know, they won the championship last year with Santiago Urrutia. They're starting off in a pretty solid little position here right now, are they not? As they've got drivers in first, second, and fifth to begin the season.
And once the team starts clicking, it just carries over. You get whether the new drivers in the team, but the nucleus is their success. Once you find a way to win not only a race but a championship, they all seem to keep falling into place. It's just when success breeds success in racing.
I totally agree with that. We've seen it before. Once a driver gets that first big race win, they just start coming. They are just able, there's that confidence level being able to go win races. And once a driver is able to provide that race win for a team, that team starts to believe in the driver even more. They've been able to give him this product. He's been able to go out and take it to victory. And that's an even deeper connection once they've been able to actually provide that result for all the work that's been done. Folks, being told white flag will fly next time by. So this race has really been without any kind of incident. Definitely stark contrast to what we saw in our USF 2000 event. But we have one more lap to go when they work their way back around here. Pato Award looking to grab his first Pro Mazda race win after a couple of solid podium finishes last year. He's going to work his way back around here. Again, turning times in the low 113s. Almost 3 seconds the advantage between Award and his teammate Aaron Thielett. Again, this final lap, these last 2 laps is when you really need to be calm. You need to make sure you don't make any mistakes here. Looking at the lap times, Parsons and Owen running 15.5s. I think Parsons is just holding him up, but Owen just cannot get by. DeParo actually quicker by 0.6 of a second. He's closed up to a second right now. DeParo may be able to be in a fight here.
Well, I'm guessing that lap traffic's starting to play into it. Will, again, you talk about teammates. You've got a couple of different variables right now in the Will Owen, Jake Parsons battle as the white flag out. Pato Award one more time around to start this season opener off with a win.
I'm surprised that Owen cannot get by, and the car just must not be working well coming out of 13, because that's the primary point. Getting out of that last corner, getting that run down into turn number 1. He's just not been able to make it happen at all. A 13-1 and the penultimate lap for Pato O'Ward, though, as he again shows his pace. 2.9 seconds the advantage as the two Team Pelfrey drivers stream past us. O'Ward, Telitz, Edson, Jamin, and Tan. Team Pelfrey first and second. Cape Motorsports third and fourth. It's the Juncos drivers with work to do. 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Rather, 6th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. As JDC Motorsports' Jorge Savalos. I'll give him props. Here's a guy that has not been behind the wheel for 2 years. He is going to be absolutely out of gas at the end of this one, but he's going to bring this thing home in 7th if he's able to hold on for the final lap. Excellent run for Jorge. But folks, here he comes. Pato O'Ward, his first career victory here in Pro Mazda, a flawless flag-to-flag run. He'll drive it to the inside of the racetrack. Pato O'Ward, victorious in Pro Mazda here. Round number 1 of the Pro Mazda Championship at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. The Allied Building Products Grand Prix of St. Petersburg for our Pro Mazda drivers. I'm telling you, Michael, what a fantastic run it was. O'Ward and Telitz, very impressive first and second. Jake Edson, though, was well. 3rd place. What a great debut for him in the Pro Mazda Championship.
I'd like to see that battle as Will Owen and Jake Parsons, his teammate Parsons, still in front, to see how that battle will shape up at the end of the field. I know we've got Pato O'Ward and doing his victory lap, but that battle was very tight the last time by. Savalos comes home in 7th. Let's see how that battle fares with Parsons and Will Owen. Boy, 0.2 of a second. Will Owen nearly got him at the line. It'll be Parsons 8th, Will Owen 9th, DePero 10th, Bobby Eberle 11th. Jay Horak sits on pit lane a few laps down. He'll finish 12th. So congratulations to Pato O'Ward, winner of the season opener. The Pro Mazda presented by Cooper Tire Championship, the Allied Building Products Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. It's Pato O'Ward, Aaron Telitz, Jake Edson. They are your podium finishers. IndyCar Series practice session, 45-minute session. That's what's coming up next. We'll be joined by Rob Howden on the victory podium to celebrate. Edson, Telitz, your winner, Pato O'Ward.